Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Education in Focus, powered by Chalkboard News. I'm Dan McCaleb, Vice President of News and Content at the Franklin News Foundation, which publishes chalkboardnews.com. Chalkboard is a news website dedicated to issues related to K-12 education. Joining me again today is Brendan Clary, Chalkboard's K-12 editor. How are you, Brendan? We're recording this on July 31st. Brendan, we've written quite a bit at chalkboardnews.com and also discussed here at Education in Focus about the cultural battles going on in schools over things such as sex education, LGBTQ issues, and the like. But there's one story out of Florida that stands out to me for, I don't know how to describe it, but it's unusualness. I don't even know if that's a word. It's not a new story, and it's not really about sex education at all. It's about art, and what's new is that you've received some exclusive information through a Freedom of Information Act request from the school district. Why don't you just start by providing some background on what's happened at Tallahassee's classical school, and then we'll get into the emails and other information you uncovered.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started earlier this year in March, I believe, when the Tallahassee Democrat reported that a school principal claimed she was forced to resign because of parental outrage that they were teaching Michelangelo's David in a 6th grade art class, and that parents had objections to that and called it pornographic. And so she said because of that, she was pushed out. The school maintains that that was not the complete story. And, they've said that there was other things kind of at play, and, they didn't fire her immediately after that kind of thing. So that's sort of the background. And so I filed a, Freedom of Information, public records request for just emails between the Board of Trustees and the principal who was forced to resign in a window of when that might have taken place. So I did get those back last week and wrote up, this is kind of what we've learned. So it was just an interesting sort of thing, where we for the first time have access to here's what parents were actually saying about it, instead of just the principal saying that there were objections. So we actually were able to see here's exactly what parents were objecting to.
So Michelangelo's David sculpture, full larger-than-life sculpture, where David is fully nude and considered one of the classic pieces of art. I'm no art scholar by any means, Brendan. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's certainly well-known across the world. I guess let me ask you this. So what did you find from the parents in those emails? What were some of their complaints?
Yeah, it really started with there was a miscommunication error. So between the principal and the art teacher, nobody sent out a parental notification that, hey, we're going to be talking about the Renaissance. We're going to have these, pieces of artwork up, and there will be some, artistic nudity, though, that kind of thing. That never went out. So that was something that, was made clear in the public records request, that was an oversight. And the principal said, hey, I thought that the art teacher sent this out, and the art teacher thought I sent this out. So parents were upset about that they weren't notified. They didn't know this was coming. Another thing that they were upset about was the teacher's use of the word non-pornographic. So he said, hey, these are non-pornographic, and these are artistic nudity. So you don't, it might be a little bit uncomfortable. And he was kind of preparing them for what they're about to see. Some students apparently went home, told their parents, like, hey, the art teacher said that they were not pornographic. And so then there was some amount of pushback from parents to administrators to the school board saying, hey, why did you use the word pornographic? Now my kid is going to be interested in what that is going to be worried about that. And so they were worried about, that kind of the use of that word in particular. But I think they were also saying, hey, maybe this is not age appropriate. Maybe we shouldn't be, having male nudity, artistic nudity, even in these masterpieces from the Renaissance. So that kind of, one parent wrote in and said that the parent's student felt uncomfortable. They're anonymized, so I'm not sure exactly which parents were saying what thing from the records request, because it was a collection that had been anonymized of different parent complaints. But that one parent said that their student felt uncomfortable, but they described the birth of Venus as a topless woman. So I don't know, there's a little bit of there was some amount of just objection to any kind of nudity. And, this one school board member who was chair at the time was describing it. He basically said how much would it actually water down students' curriculum to choose different pieces. But I think that the other side of that, which the principal made clear to a parent, is, this is part of the curriculum. We don't shy away from teaching these kinds of things, that this is a renowned work of art. So we're gonna talk about it in our class in the Renaissance. The other cool thing we got from the records request was just a slideshow, like a copy of the slideshow of what was actually taught during class.
It seems to me that I'm not going to question parents and what their feelings about what they feel their children should be taught, see in schools. Parents certainly have a right, I think, to decide what's appropriate and what's not appropriate for their children. It seems to me the breakdown happened here at the very beginning, and that was the lack of communication between the art teacher and or the principal and the parents. There should have been some sort of a notification that went out over it, but that also seems to me like that was maybe just a simple mistake, a simple miscommunication. The principal losing their job over this. I know the school district says, no, it was not because of this. It was because of ongoing other issues or whatever. That would seem extreme if she did, in fact, lose her job over something like this. Again, we don't know that that's the case because the school district says, no, that's not the reason she lost her job. But it was originally reported at the beginning, back in March, that that's why she lost her job. And then it became a national story because of it. Anything else to be gleaned from the emails or the public records request?
I would say that there was one thing that kind of stood out to me is that there was a special meeting of the school board about a month after kind of the original kerfluffle with the lesson and the parents writing in. About a month later, there was a meeting of the school board that took place at 7 a.m. I think it was on a Friday, and I think it was fine. It was in compliance with all of the things that you need to let people know that there's a meeting happening, like legally, that we're having a meeting of the school board. But it was, on Zoom or I was on Teams, that kind of thing. It was kind of seemed like a kind of put together sort of meeting about her resignation. And she had the principal had some people backing her from the school that were saying, hey, why is she resigning now, like midway, with 9 weeks left of the school year? There was some of those kind of extenuating circumstances, and the school district has refused to elaborate further about that, according to a press release where they were talking about sort of their side of the story, what they maintain about the employment aspect of that, that she was terminated for other reasons besides this. So I don't know. There's just some like, interesting things that, we don't have a complete picture of, but it just seems really murky, and it seems like some of this is not a great situation.
What's next? Is there a next? I mean, do we expect a lawsuit from the principal, the former principal? I mean, is the story run its course, or is there more to it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do know that I'm awaiting more public records. So I've requested more. I've requested kind of a larger swath of emails that mention Michelangelo and David, and so I'm waiting to hear from the school district about that. So I can, hopefully learn more about that in the future.
Listeners can keep up with this story and all things K-12 education at chalkboardnews.com. For Brendan Clary, I'm Dan McCaleb. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.